Hey, what up, everybody, man? It's Kiana back with Computer Name Channel, man. Hey, I just want to be real, man. Look, gotta have a conversation. And you know, your boy been hustling. You know, your boy been getting to it. I love the ability to be able to record on my phone, man, because it helped me do what I'm supposed to do. It helped me be able to say, you know what I'm saying, what I gotta say, you feel me? At the same time, it helped me reach out to y'all. Y'all being the people that knew me, y'all being the people that I'm gonna meet, the spiritual team that I'm gonna meet, you know what I'm saying? Hey, I got the channel going, we progressing. I done bought some things, I done made some decisions, I done made some progress, and I done made some purchases. I done made some spiritual habits, and I done made some mental habits as well. And I'm developing mental habits as well, which is the most important part and the part of this video that I'm making right now with y'all. So I just want y'all to go ahead and just tune in and like the video. Comment down below, man. What's your favorite surah from the Quran? What is your favorite surah from the Quran, man? Like, let me know what you guys pray about. You know, when you fajr in the morning, you dur in the morning, you asur in the afternoon. Like, what is it? Like, let me know. Like, what brings you spiritual power? Like, what lets you know like you doing the right thing, like what like lets you feel accomplished, like what gives you strength to go against like everything that tries to come against you, you know. Like mine is, you know, the fashioner, you know, and that was one that obviously brought me different ways to like see my aesthetic, and it brought me strength because it told me and it showed me, hey, even if you're scared, you know, Allah is not scared, so don't be out here being haram, you know, and things like that, because he's not gonna get with you, you know. And you know the goal is to be obviously Allah under Allah, but if you be my Allah, you could do all this stuff. You want to be in his nature. So that means you don't want to be out here causing the leaves to wilt when they don't have to wilt, and not granting life back to things when you can grant life back to things. Speak life into things rather than speaking death. That way you speak life into your energy, you speak life into your brain, you speak life into your thought process, and then you speak life into your life. And then you speak life back into your spirit and the spiritual power that you lost along the lines of being you and being human. You know, that's why I got my channel, to rescue some of y'all, you know, rescue the mission and continue the mission regardless of how you look, how you feel, what you say, what you think is true, or what you think you ran out of resources, but the resources are really still there for you. Like, it's not that like you just speaking death, you just lost whatever it was. Don't nobody, you know, whatever this spiritual feel like people just attack, what you attacked yourself. What situation did you set up for yourself to be this continuous reaping of this high value energy that you just think you can do whatever with, and just, you know what I mean, just, you know, you gotta just think like, what did I do that created this flow of destruction in my life for real? So it's like, don't try to, you know, believe against yourself. Just gotta do this too. Don't try to believe against yourself on purpose, because sometimes it'll work, especially with us that's strong and powerful and know a lot. we can call upon these things to purposely hurt us, to purposely make us give up. And that's why I say this today. I realize, it's super hard. It's super hard to want to speak power back into yourself. It's a really weird feeling, and but it's really helpful, and it's a real habit you can build. But you have to practice it. You have to practice caring about yourself again if you've lost that. But some of you have, which is another reason why I got this channel, because I wanted to be able to fulfill that spiritual loss that some of us kind of called upon ourselves, and we're kind of reconciliating with other things, and and kind of resolving these conflicts, and kind of speaking the life back into um, a situation that was broken, whether that be love with your loved ones, love with yourself, love with your aunt, your uncles, even your passed away ones, um, and even God in some regions, Jesus in some regions, Allah obviously Islam, and you just always, like I said, you want to stay focused. So this brings me to the main portion of this video, and I just want to talk about building those spiritual habits. I love talking about these because um, they always bring me back to when I first started being religious with Islam, and you know, kind of accepting it for what it gave me, and what it fulfilled in me, and what it allowed me to believe and correct in my life. So, with that being said, what I want to talk about in this video was to be able to talk about having consistency and how serious it is in having consistency. Um, and this is such a good video because, like I said, I had to take a little sit down or whatever. And during that sit down, like I said, I realized that I was lost. I realized that I was doing a lot of different things, and I was not really focused. And so what I ended up doing is I kind of sat down, and the first book that I had available to me was on these little tablets that we had or whatever. And I read the tablet, told me some stuff. I read some stuff. And some of that stuff I started agreeing with, and some of it I just slowly kind of started seeing working in my life. And so I was just kind of like, wow, you know what I mean? This stuff is working. I'm seeing people come in here, they're changing. Jesus was telling me to have compassion. I was praying for compassion, and I was seeing people change. I was getting respected in there, but not for the simple reason of like, hey, I'm getting respected because like I'm a bully or this and that. No, I was simply getting respected because I was in there helping people. I was motivated. People were seeing me change. They were seeing me learn stuff. I was seeing other people learn stuff. It's a really cringy situation, but I mean, you realize that some people are lost, and it's not just you. It's a really emotional situation, and you get a lot of power by doing that, and having that kind of perspective on life, with speaking life, because you render change to a broadband that is dead of us, in a sense. um but it can be relived again and nurtured, um rejuvenated again and re-brought back to life again, through handling it properly, and just understanding, some people are gonna, think this way about you, or some people are gonna think this way about this, and just kind of give them, patience if you're one of those that want to help, just always give them patience and things like that, because they're vulnerable. We're all they're vulnerable. This world um, is a world of possibilities, and sometimes if we don't have that spiritual nature to kind of give ourselves this spiritual regimen, as far as what I'm about to discuss here, in a short little bit, um, is also about like making the right decisions with the power that you receive, and that was a big one, and that's one that I struggle with too. Is kind of getting spiritual power, and then you know being able to control it, because like I said, once you start reading these books and you have the proper explanation to where some of this stuff comes from, you have the direct linkage. You are able to kind of create this conversation between you and divine, and you're able to kind of create this pool um, of what it is that you want. Um, and sometimes some of us can reap destruction from that, and it's a bad thing, because that's not what sometimes it is there for. Sometimes just people as myself, it takes a lot of getting used to, because it's a lot of things, and after this video I definitely think I'm gonna meditate, because what I said just kind of hit me really hard, and it made me realize a lot of things uh, just then. And like I said, it's so good to talk about that and to receive spiritual power, because if you practice more of this regurgitating and redigesting, and then nurturing yourself in a way of kind of purposefully implementing that self-talk back into yourself, you can uh, solely witness yourself building spiritual needs and spiritual discipline and spiritual concern for yourself. And you can kind of witness yourself digesting that spiritual energy back, receiving that energy back, and you can witness yourself kind of feeling like, hey, like, well, this is a lot much more healthier than just spewing my energy out to this situation, this situation, this situation. It's like, yes, work. Like I seen this guy on the Pando apps, and it's conversation with Adam Weber and Emily. I forget what church they're at, but they're a church over there. I'm not sure, on the Pando app. Definitely check them out, because I love them. um, and he said he had this episode on there that's called "Work Hard, Rest Hard," and that's important, because we always want to work, and we always want to help people, and we always want to know what's going on, but we always forget, hey, there is something here doing all that work. There is a specific uh, 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 channel here that can both not only transmit, but you can receive too. So sometimes when you aren't fulfilled, maybe you aren't fulfilling yourself as much as you're transmitting, and that's why sometimes when you speak to people, you feel empty, or you feel like, there's nothing there, when there was. But like I said, it always comes back to, you got to sit down, you got to remember the channel. What was the channel that you tuned into that fed you? Maybe refeed it, maybe care about it, and just live it up, and you witness the power of, like I said, a God, or you witness the compassion of Jesus in some places, and you know you relinquish the power again of being uh, 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 um, nutritioned again and refed again, and like I said, you realize the true effort of this planet is to keep us alive, as long as you tune into it and use it for the right reasons. So that being said, moving to the next part, which is why this throws me right into the next part. I just had like a conversation with my brother, and I told him, and I was like, well, because he was talking about, people were messing with him at the job and things like that. And this brings me back to the spiritual regimen too. And the spiritual diet is like, we as spiritual beings, we have this thing where, we can easily kind of slip off of one plane and go to another plane. It's really different, but we do that sometimes. And I want to say uh, that meaning it is not of a sense of being rude, but like of a sense of not actually recognizing the spiritual input that we can put into the planet cognitively. Um, and as a spiritual person, we like to be cognitive, like we like to know what's going on. But like I said, if you're not cognitive, then you're not cognitive. And for whatever reason, um, that can be detrimental, and it could be a situation that keeps you from progressing in life. So, like that being said, um, to further kind of like let the fire burn and the passion burn on why you want to stay focused in life is this, and I just want to talk about consistency in this video. Um, and building, consistency as a spiritual strength and a spiritual something to talk about. Uh, and so, with that being said, over these past couple of weeks, like this past 2 weeks, I was just hustling. I looked around and, I made a decision. I was like, hey, I need to get up. I need to find a hustle. Or I need to, I need to find somewhere to make some type of income. And so, I woke up, I did some online searching, and just because I did that online searching, I ran into something. And I ran into something, it was really short term, but it was something to get me what I wanted at that time. And this is why I say, you want to stay, um, um, cognitive with the decision making, is because, that first morning that I had to wake up, I actually almost didn't go. Mind you, I knew I had to go a number of times because the first time that I went, I wasn't going to have enough money. And so I went, and when I went, when I woke up that morning, I was like, bro, I don't feel like going. Like, I'm going to go back to sleep. And I think I laid down, and then I woke back up, and I was like, you know what? If I don't get up, I won't have it. You know what I'm saying? If I don't get up right now, like, I won't have it. I expect it to fall in my lap. It's not gonna happen like that. So I ended up getting up, and I actually stayed with the plan, and I felt so much better after that. The rest of the day happened because I had gotten a little bit of money from staying consistent, and I made it happen. And it all started with the decision to change and get better and get my own money. And then it got followed through with the consistency, and it got completed with the consistency. Like I said in my other video, um, you must reap benefits. Try this, definitely check that video out because it's a direct, planetary analogy of like, um, you know, it's like metaphysical breakdown from your thought process to how that you can use that to affect reality, or you can kind of use that to tie in, how does my thought process, or how can I, use my thoughts to kind of build this schedule to get me what it is that I need. You can kind of cognitively figure out, well, if I think, then I think, what do I think to get this to me in reality? And you kind of just build that bridge between your mind and reality, and that's when things start kind of getting interesting, especially when you follow through with the ideas and you kind of pull those things out of the back of your mind that you're thinking about, and you have the consistency to follow through with them, get the job done, and then you're kind of successful in life. And then you build these regimens and these plans to keep yourself up and do good with the power. And you can only imagine how your life is going to be. All right. So like I said, this brings me to the next point. So my brother was talking about quitting his job because people were being upset, and this brings me back to the point with the spiritual stuff. Is like us spiritual people and us powerful people, us like want to be successful people, or us like driven people. Like we have an issue of like stopping and caring about people sometimes, and that is so like detrimental in our success because let's just say we know we can do something but we don't have the consistency with the due diligence, which is how I was. And it was like the situation was kind of like, oh, um I would, and that would be just like him, well, we would be selfish sometimes because we had the spiritual insight. That's why I say again, it covers so much. It's like say again, it's like when you get that power, you want to do the right thing with it. You don't want to be selfish because like you get spiritual power. Spiritual power is not for just one person. Um, so you got to be smart with it. You got to be able to have responsibility with what it is that you get and what information you get and what you do with it and how you trust it and carry out your plan, your I like to call it your flight law, you know. Um, but yeah, with that being said, uh, you want to keep the consistency in your attitude. Like just because you think you're too good, or just because you think or we think that we're too good, that we don't. It's not true. All that we need to be by ourselves. That crap ain't true. You need a network. You need people who can help you. You need people who can, blow the fire out if it burns you. You need people that can, be there to make you smile when you don't feel like smiling. You need to be there to make people smile when they don't feel like smiling. You need to be there for people when they feel like giving up. You need people to be there for you when you feel like giving up, whether you know that they're there or not, and things like that. And so I say that to say this, when you get spiritual, just be careful how you digest, be careful how you transmit energy, because you don't want to project the information of like, hey, like you're spiritually inclined, but you don't care about anybody. Your employer is going to light up like a firework and blow the whole place up, fire in your butt, because you're in there with this attitude and no consistency talking about your spiritual, that will set somebody off. So like I said, I just had to make this video to tell myself and to tell you guys that are watching, you know, always stick with it, because this brings me back to this analogy. It's like I always had a job, right? I would get a job, I would keep the job for like maybe like a week, literally, maybe like a week or like a month at best. And then as soon as the month comes, because I know I can do all this and da 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 da, I didn't care about anyone there. I didn't care about the manager. I didn't care about the coworkers. We had no relationship. So, with that being said, I kind of would uh, find these uh, individuals at work and kind of point them out, and I would see their issue, but I would never have a compassionate answer for the reason why I would want to continue working, like why, and which is how we work. We want to have a network for the forever. We don't want to have a network for the now per se. We don't want to have a network for the preliminary stages of life. We want it to be not preliminary to destruction, but so to speak, preliminary in sense of spiritual guidance received to some type of stability, um, you know, and some type of overall success in life, spiritually and physically. Um, you know, at the time of whenever these judgments happen in life, you always want to be in a state of acceptance, or set these points in life where you make that effort to be recognized as, spiritually accepted, or uh, you know, in an effort to become spiritually accepted, by these things that judge us. in life. So that brings me to the point, like I said, closing this video up, not in a rush to, but closing this video up is, if you have a job, or if you have, getting a job, or you're making efforts to get your life together, or you're building this network to get your life together, think about other people. Think about where you really want to go in life. Think about, you know, how you actually want to dream. Make sure, I mean, it's legal, obviously. Make sure you're checked out with your people, God, Allah, Jesus. Make sure that you're okay with all of them and they're okay with the whole picture, because it's not just about us as individuals. It's about us as individuals becoming a corporation of like intelligence, spiritually connected. So we gotta be able to be able to care about people. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just because you think you can just do it on your own, that doesn't matter. Because you still have people that you're gonna deal with throughout the day. And this is a specific message for me, because this is the main reason why I would quit my job, is because I was like, dude, like, you think you're all that, blah, 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 I don't need you, blah, blah, blah. So that conversation initiated would be like, oh, well, I can talk to this person any type of way that I want to. You know what that would result in? Instant firings, instant attitude change. I would discontinue my likeness of being an acceptable employee immediately. If someone just blinked at me the wrong way, I didn't have the spiritual aptitude to forgive them. I didn't know what that meant. So I just gave up on the situation. I immediately left jobs. I immediately walked off abandoned posts at jobs. I immediately caught an attitude with the manager when she was doing what, she or he was supposed to, but I didn't have the spiritual info to, kind of fulfill myself and tell me, hey, I actually do need this job. Like, let me kind of like start kind of giving myself this fuel that I need to kind of be a dependable employee long term. One thing that I said to my brother too, and this is gonna definitely wrap up the video here, because this one is a sweepstake. I don't say a sweepstake, but I say like a spiritual goodie. Would be in the sense of saying that um uh let me think, you want to focus on, if you want to be successful, it's not about these short-term things. Like, you don't want to be out selling drugs just to get a little purse, and a little purse or something like that, and then all of a sudden, you gotta go to jail because you frauded, $1,000 to $2,500 because you're in a rush to be successful. I understand that. But like I said, at the same time, it is still about the fact of where you're gonna end up when you have to be judged, or where you're gonna end up at the end of the situation. If you close, you literally can just open a contract and close a contract for what you want to do. So what I'm saying is, you don't want to open a contract against yourself and sign a contract against, dude. So you don't want to do that, because you could cause a lot of issues, for people that actually care about you, or for people that actually want to do good. Like, you don't, especially for yourself, what you want to do with yourself, you don't want to do that. So what I'm saying is, focus on the goals for the long term. So what if you got to get a job? It's not gonna take one night. Building consistency. It's called consistency for a reason, because you're consistently doing it, because it's gonna bring you to this place of serenity, of long time exposure to a spiritual nature that is of another paradigm that you have not seen before. So you don't really know what to expect. You don't even really know what's there, and you don't really know, in a sense, what can be activated by you if you set these long-term goals. Guys, I'm gonna just say this, I'm gonna wrap this video up. It is very important to set long-term goals. Don't care about the short-term goal stuff. The short-term goal stuff, is not where it is, guys. You've been seeing my channel. I ain't post all them videos in one day, guys. You've seen this channel been growing over a span of almost a year now, guys. It's been a year, and that's been a year of me happily Muslim as well, you know. And it was not easy, guys. I almost went crazy, like literally, like I almost lost my mind, and it took me many times for me to properly adapt to what it is that I was telling myself that I was gonna learn. Like it took time, you know what I mean? And like I said, it takes time. So what I'm saying is set the long term goals. You don't want to be out here on a fucking, you know what I mean? Sorry for Christian. You don't want to be out here on the road doing things wrong and expect not to be pulled over. You don't want to have the wrong gravity belt situation and expect not to be, you know, um, um, uh, 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 made fun of. Like you don't want to be talking wrong about the right situation, but saying the wrong thing about it. Like you don't want to be like on the sidewalk with your shoes untied and looking crazy. So it's like, don't do that. You know what I'm saying? Don't prepare yourself for the wrong situation. You know what I mean? So, anyways, I said I was on Raz's video says one more time. Focus on the long term. Make long-term commitments. Those are the ones that are going to pay off because you thought about it correctly and you thought about everything correctly. It gave you time to think about your people. It gave you time to think about yourself. It gave you time to think about nature. It gave you time to think about other people. It gave you time to be selfless. It gave you time to think about yourself. And you're going to be so appreciative that you listened to this video and you did not click off your job or spin out at your job and you know and quit, you know what I mean, and quit, you know. um so long-term commitments, seriously, long-term commitments are the ones gonna pay off. Like I said, guys, you see the progress. This channel it ain't just been one easy day and all of a sudden my mind is good again, and you know, I'm more cognitive about what it is that I'm speaking, and you know, I'm more alert, and I'm more experienced kind of um with what it is in the situation that I'm dealing with. Like now I know what it is. Like now I'm not just asking questions. Like I'm ready to take a long-term commitment. And usually, guys, I mean, that says a lot. Usually somebody that is wanting to be successful, because I was doing it when I was young, we want to make this money overnight. It just does not happen like that. It does not happen like that. A sane person does not think like that. A wealthy person does not think like that. They take their time to make situations, and they understand that the situation is not gonna take I said situation, that was a good word, but I really meant they don't make deals and agreements for, you know, just like a day or two. Like, and even if they did, they weren't only stuck in the deal for a day. You know, I've never made a contract. I've never made up a contract. I've never made a deal um, in just a day or two. And like I said, just having experience with the spiritual life in this world, uh, it, it is definitely not a situation in which we can just say, hey, you know, I'm going to just think about something and get it done in a day. And even if you do, that comes from another day that you had thinking about it. It just doesn't work like that, guys. And you won't make any type of long-term success from it because it'll be a rush situation. You know what I mean? Just so I feel the potential, so I'm gonna go ahead and stop the video there. I believe in you guys. Do it. Get your mind started. Get your minds focused, and stay hydrated. Stay nutrition. Stay consistent, guys. See you in the next video. Peace.